I am Jason Wallin. I'm the principal architect for infrastructure and operations at John Deere. And that's just a simple way to say that if it runs in our factories, or if it runs in our logistics centers, or our data centers, or even the cloud that we host, I have responsibility for how we design those hosting solutions, as well as the communications technologies that are necessary for that hosting environment. Biggest challenge we face in our manufacturing facilities today is the growth of the industrial IoT and what it's going to mean to future connections. In the past, we've been about 70% Ethernet connected devices, 30% Wi-Fi connected devices, but we know that we can't cost effectively grow our Ethernet. And we also know that Wi-Fi will not be able to support the number of connections that we envision in the future. We estimate over the next few years that we're going to have 20 times the sensors that we have available to us on the shop floor today. And because of that, that has really driven us to the private cellular discussion and why we are actively moving forward with production in that environment. We are not brand new to private cellular networks here and private 5G networks. We started our journey with the CBRS auction that occurred back in 2020. We bought spectrum in 5 counties where we had a significant manufacturing presence to be ready for this today. We spent 2021 and 2022 working through our use cases inside the factory that led us here to 2023, where we are now actively using this with production intent in our manufacturing facilities. What it really allows us to do is simply provide the connectivity for the increased use cases that we have that allow us to collect more and more data about our manufacturing processes and then our logistics flows throughout the factory operation. As we think about how we scale this to large-term operations for John Deere, it's really getting through the mindset of how do we shift from that 70% Ethernet connected and 30% Wi-Fi connected devices that we have today, that 20 times growth that we will continue to have in new IoT devices to support our industrial IoT and what that means to our future. We've charted a path that leads us to believe that 80% of all of our connectivity in the factory will be on private cellular networks and private 5G as that continues to mature. 10% will remain on hardwired Ethernet, and that's directly related to some of our legacy equipment that we can't just simply change and things that have multiple decade life cycles in them, whether that be a laser cutter or whether that be a machining center. And then lastly, we will have another 10% that is still Wi-Fi connected. And when you think about that, it's a pretty simple equation because there are 9 billion devices that are created for Wi-Fi based networks, and there are only 1 billion devices that are created every year to be able to support cellular based networks. So we know that Wi-Fi will continue to be a mix inside our manufacturing organization. John Deere absolutely prioritizes the security of our IoT data. It helps us by using the cellular network to have a more robust security solution than what we've been able to have in the past with wired Ethernet, as well as Wi-Fi based networks. And simply the security that's built into the system, whether it be the SIM encryption strategy, marrying that to a dedicated IMEI, and then also allowing us to match to the device that's connected behind the cellular bridges that we have inside our manufacturing facilities, gives us best in class security. There's really a couple of different ways that we envision this. First of all, from a raw infrastructure standpoint, private 5G and private cellular networks are much cheaper to run than running the cable for traditional Ethernet and even Wi-Fi networks that we have today. But if we were to just simply look at that as a simple cost savings, replacing light connection for light connection, we do ourselves significant disservice in here. And what I mean by that is that quite simply, there are going to be a lot of new use cases that become available to us just because we have the private cellular networks in place. And we think about use cases like that include computer vision, machine learning in our mistake proofing process. As an example today, we record every torque setting on our largest combines, and there are 18,000 pieces in each one of those combines. So if a worker was to assemble 12 bolts in a station, we monitor that those 12 bolts have been torqued to the proper specification, record that, and that allows us to help us build our digital twin. But in the future, what we don't know today is that the CVML added into this process will allow us to make sure that we've got the right 12 bolts installed in the right 12 holes, and that those are all torqued to the proper settings. Based on that, that assures us that we have a mistake-free manufacturing process that gives our customers a experience that they've come to expect from John Deere, of an extremely high quality product that they're able to use to harvest food for the world there.